Hi, I'm Olivia, and this is my second quarter working on Hs4X, or Habit Sourcing 4X. Most of last quarter was spent working to understand the project conceptually, which involved defining Hs4X as its own crowdsourcing research project and solidifying its design arguments. This quarter, in contrast, was very tech-heavy and focused on a particular element of the greater Hs4X design, the experience generation element. The tech and experience generation concept took up much of the quarter. I was able to run 2 mini studies as well that allowed me to test my systems design and test my assumptions about experience generation out with actual participants. I chose to focus on the tech this quarter in order to get a working and more full prototype of the proof of concept app, known as Zombies Interactive, as this app is key to testing the project's design principles on a number of levels. To begin with, I had a functional but very bare bones backend consisting of a Flask Python app and a text file database. First, I integrated the Experience Kit Xcode project created for habit sourcing, giving my project a stronger front end and a foundation for experience generation. I then revamped the backend, adding in a MongoDB database to store the pre-constructed moments and corresponding world objects. I set up a Heroku server to host the backend, which allowed me to run simulations remotely and monitor the outputted moments. I had to basically gut the experience kit code in the mission view controller, which was essentially a hard-coded experience that had been created for testing. Nothing was dynamic about the creation of an experience before. I deleted the hard-coded elements and worked to get dynamic moment insertion working. In this way, the experience could be created dynamically and opportunistically via querying the backend for appropriate moments based on location. By the end of these few steps, I had a front end and a back end that could work together to dynamically create experiences for users. I also decided to focus on experience generation, as this was one of the most vague elements of the Hs4X design developed last quarter. From user testing last quarter, I knew that Hs4X needed a system that could create cohesive, engaging, dynamic, and unique experiences for each habit-building user, and that the current system was not providing that functionality. One of the first design elements I decided we needed in Hs4X was an intro moment and an end moment. These two elements would tie together the experience, giving it cohesion. I brainstormed with 2 DTR students who had participated in an Hs4X study last quarter about ways to make the narrative more cohesive. I started with looking at 2 research papers about narrative generation, which both involved AI work. However, they did provide an interesting way of thinking about narrative generation, mainly as a sort of game design. Using models described in these papers, I was able to create a story graph of an experience, walking through how an ideal experience and narrative would unfold for the habit-building user. From how my story graph developed, I realized that expand moments and exploit moments would make up the body of the experience, with explore moments sprinkled in where necessary. Exploit should, of course, follow its corresponding expand. Therefore, the key to figuring out how to build a narrative boils down to figuring out how to dynamically insert expand moments. I put a decent number of points towards brainstorming expand moments this quarter and working to understand what makes a good expand moment as a sort of template. My understanding of an expand moment was that it should be an independent interaction centered around a particular object or location. The goal of each expand moment is to prompt the user to deviate from their normal route and go towards the object of interest. During my status update, I was able to discuss what makes a good expand moment more thoroughly. What was brought up was that expand moments, while independent, do have to be somewhat aware of the context of the experience. For example, having a series of independent, opportunistically inserted expand moments that all ask the user to do the same action, sprint, would be tedious. Although they are independent, they must vary within the greater narrative in some way. One easy solution to this is to only seed the database with expand moments that are unique in their stories and actions required. Still, having a way to pull certain moments in an effort to vary the experience would be interesting. Another topic of discussion surrounding expand moments was the justification element of the narrative. Both participants in my studies and status update brought up the importance of convincing the user that following the expand was important. The users want to feel that they are deviating from their route not for the purpose of environmental data collection, but for a more engaging reason that fits into the overall narrative smoothly. After much discussion and thought, I felt that I had a pretty good understanding of what makes a good expand moment and how they could be used as building blocks for a greater experience. I also worked to create a series of parameters that would affect the storyline trajectory. These included 1. Number of other users running, 2. Location of the current user, 3. Low coverage areas, meaning data we have collected previously, 4. Users' willingness to follow directions, 5. Level of detail in the data at a potential location, 6. Backup plan if no known object nearby, 7. Previous route or experience of the user. In creating this list and developing how to construct this narrative through tech testing, brainstorming, user testing, and my status update, I realized that I would need a data structure to keep track of each user's run and plan as best it could, given that each interaction is inserted dynamically. Many of the users mentioned that the moments came too close together and felt very unplanned. I decided to call this structure that collected the runs the run collection, with each run being a new entry for each user's run. Each run is created on initialization of the Experience Manager on the front end. It is created with a start time, user ID, and run ID. It stores each location encountered by the runner and all the moments played for that runner. In this way, the experience is more than an opportunistic series of moments. The spacing of the moments can be controlled, and the run structure can ensure that the experience is unique for each runner on the back end. This adds a layer of control to narrative generation and creates a more engaging experience for the user. Throughout the quarter, I updated the practical canvas as my tech developed and my understanding of how experience generation should work grew. The part of the canvas that changed the most was the design arguments. I still have the original what should users do as Hs4X takes previously collected environmental data and provides an experience for the user that simultaneously encourages their habit building practices and allows for data collection that maximizes coverage and quality. The two characteristics that I added, however, work to address the provides an experience for the user component of the main goal. They are as follows. 1. The Experience Kit system uses moments as independent objects to construct a narrative, but is also aware of the larger narrative and avoids using redundant moment blocks. 2. Expand moments provide a justification to the habit-building user as to why they should redirect their route, and this justification follows the greater narrative. I also created a research canvas this quarter for Hs4X. In creating the research canvas and updating this quarter's findings, I found that one of the next steps for Hs4X might be designing the scaffolding element of the data collection, which is yet to be implemented. Instead, I have just used LES4X, a previous crowdsourcing project in the same SIG, to justify the use of scaffolding in the data collection. However, scaffolding with habit sourcing is a bit different and might require adjustments. Adding scaffolding to the Zombies Interactive app would add a great deal of functionality to the app and allow us to test the quality of data collected by using habit sourcing and experience generation in combination with 4X.
You can hear me all right? I'm your designated guide. We need you to get back to base safely and gather some important information for us. Got it? Good. Okay. I see you're starting out now. Keep a good pace and stay alert. If you see someone guarding the rock, then our fortress in the area is still going strong and you are safe to continue on your way towards tech. Otherwise, canvass the area by running around the rock and then continue to your original destination. Good work out there, Runner 5. See you next time.